Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Common Sense News. My name is Doug Compton. The date is the 4th of February, 2020. And first thing I want to get into is, first of all, how excited I am of the State of the Union address tonight by the president. I think this is going to be I'm hoping anyway that this is going to be one of his better speeches, one of his best speeches. Um, I hope he doesn't bring up impeachment, and here's why. Because if the only people talking about impeachment is the media, if you ask the average person on the street, they don't care. They don't give a crap. They care about the cost of their living expenses and medical care and their job security and their family and stuff like that. People don't care about impeachment. I mean, the market hasn't even fluctuated really at all over this. Both Democrats and Republicans knew the ending of this immediately when it started. So he should just leave it alone. Don't play into the media. Speak directly to the people. I'm hoping that's what he does. Um, we shall see. State of the Union is always an interesting speech. Um, Considering the audience, being members of Congress and other things like that. So there's always interesting things that go on. Um, especially at a time like this. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great speech. I really do. Um, Next thing I want to talk about Brexit. On 31st, the Great Britain, the United Kingdom, officially exited the European Union, and that is a very big deal. See, us here in America, we don't really understand. The average person, I would say, doesn't understand the severity of that situation. The European Union was formed in, I believe, 1947, right after World War II, which at that time Europe was a mess. Europe was a mess after 1942. I mean, they used to use cigarettes as currency. That's how bad it was. So they formed the European Union, and if you look at the history of Europe, the long history of Europe, they've always had problems with each other. There's always wars over there. Um, Nationalism is a very, very popular thing. I think we've definitely seen that with the Germans over the years and things like that. So the European Union was a bad idea to begin with, and it is this Brexit. This is just the start. This is going to completely dismantle the European Union, and that's going to be a big deal because the European Union is the center of bureaucracy. I mean, you think we got it bad here in America? In Europe, it's probably worse. I mean, there's tons of unelected officials that make the people that make the laws for all of these countries that are in the European Union. So that would be like if Canada made a law that we weren't allowed to own guns. We would have to follow that law because we're in this union, or vice versa with Mexico or something like that. And it just doesn't work. Okay, globalism is dying, and I think we can see that pretty clearly. And I hope Boris can pull a can get a good deal out of this. I really do. I hope he can get a good deal out of this because those guys are tough to deal with, man. Those guys in Brussels, the head of the EU, they are tough to deal with. That's why I like Nigel Farage. He's like, just give us a clean break, just get out. Forget it. I mean, I'm not 100% on this, but I think Great Britain was the only country in the European Union to keep their own currency. So after the fall of the European Union, or the decline of it, I think the British pound is just going to crush the euro, and that is going to completely dismantle. I mean, there's a thousand different ways that the European Union is going to get dismantled. This is just the start. You have Brexit. Another thing I wanted to talk about regarding that is Frexit. France has a huge movement trying to get out of the EU. And I'm willing to bet, and Q has told us, or asked us anyway, do you really think that the protests are over a gas tax? I think it's a lot bigger than that. I mean, Macron is a big time globalist figure, and he's really not popular there. I mean, last I checked, his popularity rating was like 15% or something ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if he just gets completely booted out of office. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. But yeah, that's a huge movement, and in 2000, God, I really want to get my facts straight here. In 2003, it was either 2003 or 2005, the European Union, they formed a constitution, or maybe just revised the one that they had. They formed a constitution. The UK, France, and the Dutch all rejected that constitution, and the EU ignored them and shoved it down their throats anyway. People are not happy with the European Union. And with the British gone now, we'll have, only time will tell to see what kind of deal they can make with the EU regarding trade and stuff like that. And trade with the United States, of course, is probably going to be their biggest ally for sure. To start off with, anyway, because Boris and Trump are pretty good friends from what I can tell. I don't know for sure, but they seem like they get along, and I think they would definitely make a great trade deal. And but bottom line, the EU is falling apart, and that's going to send a shockwave around the world that we have not seen in a generation. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. So the constitution that they made was both rejected by the French. Shit. And one last thing I wanted to bring up is the situation going on in Virginia with blackface Northam, and the media, because they had their protest or whatever at the Capitol this last Monday, and the media was playing it huge, like there's going to be a bunch of gun advocates. I mean, on both sides, they were saying that Antifa was going to be there to start riots, to provoke some of these pro-gun people just to try to further their agenda. And then the people on the left obviously were saying the same thing about the pro-gun people. And from what I've heard so far, it was just a nothing burger. It turned out to be nothing. So I think he will be kicked out of office. One way or the other, either he'll get voted out, or he'll get voted out in an election, or in an impeachment type situation. Now, one thing he did, and this is crooked as hell, he changed the Constitution of Virginia from 10% of the vote in order to impeach up to 25%. That is crooked as hell. He knew that he was going to probably get impeached because of this thing, and the reason the reason that this sort of thing is happening in a state like Virginia, because Washington D.C. has gotten so bloated and massive that it's expanded into Virginia by miles and miles and miles, and that's where you get all this liberalism. But if you go south, and into the rural areas, they are all they are right wing, if you will. So that's kind of how that situation got so polarized, is from the bureaucracy in Washington D.C. bleeding through into Virginia. So we'll see what happens with Virginia. Keep an eye on that. Puerto Rico, I don't know if you guys have seen a video surfaced about a few days ago of all of the aid money that was given during the hurricane about 2 years ago from the United States was found in a warehouse. A bunch of food, supplies, things that they needed. $91 billion, according to Trump, was given to them. And the media was blasting him, saying that he wasn't helping them. And once again, Trump was right. They're corrupt politicians down there, and they just stole it. And so we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll have to see what happens in Virginia. Situations seem to have calmed down. I mean, it's only been a few days, but I mean, Monday turned out to be pretty much nothing. Nothing that I heard anyway. So we'll see what happens there. But this Brexit thing, and Frexit now with the French. I mean the riots in French are huge. There are huge protests in France, and the media is not covering it. There's firefighters that are pushing back against police. There are police pushing back against police. I mean, it's a soft civil war almost, if you will. And so that's something to keep an eye on. And once that falls, along with Brexit and the EU, as far as I'm concerned, at that point will be completely dismantled. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because all of those countries, like I said, they're all using the euro. They're using the same currency. A lot of those countries are bankrupt, like Greece. A couple years back, they went completely belly up. And a lot of the countries there just don't already are struggling with their economy and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But those are the things that I'm going to keep an eye on, and of course I will also update you guys. And well, thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you later.